How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled Rowlet and welcome back to another video. Today, guys, we'll be counting down another top 5 video, but before we get started, I just want to give a quick heads up. My voice is still messed up, so if I do sound a bit weird, and that's why my voice is still a bit cranky after a few days ago when I was at an event. Either way, that's not the important part of this video. The important part is actually this countdown, and today we're going to be counting down in a series of countdowns the top 5 best Pokemon, gym Pokemon, essentially, from different generations of Pokemon. And then eventually, at the end, we'll take every single gym and we'll do a top 10 counting down the top 10 best gym Pokemon throughout the whole of the Pokemon franchise. But for now, we'll do them in series parts where we'll have, each gen separate. But the first gen up today is going to be Kanto, of course, and in Kanto we do have quite a few crazy Pokemon that are really strong from the gym leaders, if you guys remember when you were kids and playing that stuff, or maybe you played Fire Red and Leaf Green and whatnot. But of course, there have been changes. Now, I'll be mainly looking at just Red and Blue and Green as the games for this video, so please understand. And also, these are my opinions and just basic knowledge, so don't take this too seriously. If you think there are Pokemon that could have fit better on this list, then let me know. And these Pokemon are not in any specific order. These are just a bit random, so don't take them in that, hierarchy. They're just a bit random, but these are the 5 I think are probably the best and the strongest Pokemon from just the original Pokemon Kanto region and, the original games Red, Blue, and Green. So I hope you guys are going to enjoy it, and let's get right into number 5. Number 5. And so coming in at the 5th place is going to be KOGA's Muck. Okay, this thing was a pain. Muck used to be the most scummy thing and had just the most scummy ways to annoy me as a kid. And one of the things that it was using was Disable. It was really annoying, and stuff like Minimize as well was a pain to deal with. Like, those two moves were really painful, especially when you're trying to get through KOGA just to continue the story. It really was painful to deal with these things, and not just that, but also the fact that KOGA, just that man, it just give you that feeling of, oh, he was just laughing in your face, man. It was really annoying to deal with that. But not only that, he was also rolling Poison Gas as well as the bloody move Sludge, man. That thing could be really detrimental to your team and could really be fatal to certain teammates if you, had certain Pokemon that were weak to that sort of stuff. But basically, in general terms, I would say that this thing was a powerhouse and was hard to deal with, especially if you didn't come prepared with the right Pokemon that could fit against it. And stuff, like I said, with Disable and Minimize, those things could be pains in the ass to deal with, and they were really just troublesome in general terms. So that's what comes in at the number 5 spot, lads. I hope you guys agree with that one. Either way, let's continue to the next one on the list. Number 4. Now, next up is going to be BLAINE's ARCANINE. Okay, so BLAINE runs a full fire team, and if you brought along a water type, it wouldn't be too big of a task. But if you were lacking in water power, then you were in for a treat against this Arcanine that was ready to, just with this little arsenal of firepower, to just incinerate you. With such moves as Fire Blast and Takedown as well. But of course, Takedown was not a fire move, but Fire Blast was a powerful fire move though, as well as stuff like Ember and Roar. So 2 fire moves and 2 just normal basic moves, but they did complement each other really well, and it was generally a strong Pokemon to deal with. And not just that, you also had these other things prior to it, such as Rapidash and stuff like that, to deal with prior to getting to it and stuff. So it could be a really painful match to deal with, and it could be just troublesome to get to it, and as well as beating it could be really troublesome unless you had a water type. If you didn't really have a water type, you were in for some trouble. It could be really difficult to get through there, because he was one of the strongest gym leaders. But of course, that's not the only one we have on the list, lads. But I do think though, BLAINE's Arcanine was definitely one of the harder ones to deal with. So I want to know your opinions. Do you think BLAINE's Arcanine was really that hard or not? Let me know in the comments below. Either way, let's go to number 3. Number 3. Now, coming in at number 3 is going to be Sabrina's ALAKAZAM, and this was the sort of Pokemon that if you came unprepared for, you could really be out on some thin ice, and you could really be dealing with some troublesome situations, as Sabrina's ALAKAZAM was one of the most hard things to deal with sometimes, especially because the thing could dish out like huge damage with its Psybeam, and the fact that it had Recover would prove to be a real, just huge pain to deal with. And it was also rolling stuff like Psych Wave, as well as Reflect, and these could also prove detrimental depending on what you were running against it. And honestly, when you were a kid, you didn't really think about too much about stats and that sort of stuff, so I don't think you really think about what each move would do. You kind of just went on like, oh, you know, fire beats grass and water beats fire, so hey, that makes sense. And then you just went with the, you know, what matches each other, especially against something like this. It could be troublesome as a kid to deal with, and Sabrina was just painful. And not just that, also rolling stuff prior to that, such as Mr. Mime, Venomoth, as well as Kadabra, could prove really hard for your team to get through, eventually to get to ALAKAZAM and then deal with that thing, as it was very troublesome, man. But then again, that's not the only Pokemon that she had, and of course the other ones are also really strong, but I thought ALAKAZAM would probably be the best one here to put, because it was a generally strong Pokemon and was hard to deal with. And it was always just one of those Pokemon that stood on the top of the food chain in its own like area, and in, you know, in Sabrina's team, so to say, and it just deserves a spot. So I don't know, what do you guys think? Do you think Sabrina's ALAKAZAM is one of those Pokemon that does deserve to be on this sort of list, and is one of the Pokemon that was hard to deal with? But then again, we're not done with this video yet, lads, so let's go to the next one on the list. Number 2. Now, coming up next is going to be Lieutenant Surge's Raichu, and wow, this was a force to be reckoned with, and was always just high on that hierarchy. It was using such things as Thunderbolt, which could dish out huge amounts of damage, as well as Thundershock and Thunder Wave, and finally Growl, which wasn't as useful, but hey, it's still a move, so, you know, whatever. But overall, it's just a greatly strong Pokemon. I mean, Lieutenant Surge was a former quote-unquote lieutenant and soldier, so he knows what to do with his Pokemon and how to make them as strong as possible. If you were watching the Pokemon anime at the time, you could see how, you know, Raichu fighting against Pikachu proved to be a really badass fight. The first time around, Raichu had the power, the huge firepower to dish out huge amounts of damage, while Pikachu was faster in the second battle, where Pikachu used agility to its advantage. But in a more game setting, you know, that power is what wins. The speed also does help out, but the power back in those days was the main point. The power was what ruled everything and what made things super crazy, especially something like this with Lieutenant Surge's Raichu. And not just that, he did have, you know, more Pokemon than that. You know, Pikachu, Voltorb. Those things also proved to be troublesome if you came in with something like a water type or something that was weak specifically against, you know, electric type, so to say. So dealing with something like that could be troublesome. So if you came prepared, you should have been fine. But if you didn't come prepared, you were up for some huge issues. Either way, it's going to be that one, lads. Now let's go to the next one on the list. Number 1. Okay, so coming in at the number 1 spot is going to be Giovanni's Nidoking. Oh yes. Okay, as someone who personally has Nidoking as one of my favorite Pokemon, it truly is an honor to see such an evil man use such a beautiful beast to his advantage. Nidoking is just overall a great all-around Pokemon, and it is just so useful, and it was just so useful back in the day. You could easily sweep through the whole game with just Nidoking. Maybe, I mean, specifically Giovanni's Nidoking, though, did lack some things, you know, those extra things such as, you know, having Thunder or something like Surf or whatever on it would be really just awesome, but it would have also made his, like, Giovanni's Nidoking way too overpowered. It would have been so hard to deal with. As for, you know, overall his team though, it was generally so strong, and running something like a Nidoking with stuff like Horn Attack, Poison Sting, as well as Trash and Tackle, all these moves could work well together and was just such a huge pain to deal with. All these moves in one could be really painful. But then again, guys, this is one of many Pokemon from the gym leaders in Gen 1 that were really strong. Of course, there were Pokemon that, you know, weren't, you know, final evolutions and whatnot, that were also strong and hard to deal with, but I didn't mention all of them. I just mentioned 5 in this video, so please bear with me, and remember that this video is my own personal opinion, and it's not going to feature everything that you guys love and every Pokemon you think deserves to be on the list. But of course, as you know, there is a comment section down below where you guys can leave your opinions and let me know which Pokemon do you think would have deserved to be on this list, and which Pokemon do you maybe want to see in a future video like this, where we, you know, maybe revise this or do a different version of it. Which Pokemon do you think would deserve to be on that list, or is this specific Pokemon from the gym leaders that you love the most and you think really deserves to get some more attention? Let me know in the comments down below, lads. But overall, thank you so much for watching this video. My name has been Rallet, of course, and if you guys want to just drop a like down below, that'd be really appreciated. It really would help the channel out, and also do make sure to subscribe for future videos, as it does help the channel out. And, you know, we're closing up 25k subs, so that'll be really appreciated. But that's not all, lads. I also want to thank you so much for the general support lately with all the videos. It really is appreciated. So thank you so much for that. But that's going to be it for me today, lads. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. So bye bye, peace out.